Hello and welcome to the VEST webinar series. I'm Megan O'Neill, your moderator for today's webinar session. And today we will demonstrate a utility that allows for building custom symbol libraries quickly and efficiently. This webinar will last approximately 30 minutes. You'll be able to submit questions or comments at any time during the webinar by posting in the questions section located within your webinar control panel. Questions may be answered as they are posted, or we will try to address them in the last 5 minutes of the webinar. Note that today's session is being recorded and that the audio is muted for all attendees. If you are experiencing any technical issues, please use the chat window to alert our support staff. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today's webinar session, Carlo Molon. Carlo has worked in the hydraulics industry for many years and currently manages application sales and training for VEST desktop and cloud products. Carlo?
Hello, Megan. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you all attendees for joining today's webinar. So today is a bit strange webinar because it's a HyDraw webinar, and I'm basically not using HyDraw. I'll use additional software. I'll use HyDraw just at the end to test a bit what I will be doing. So my purpose today is to work on the library management side. I will be using HyDraw Library Manager. I'll be using AutoCAD as well, and some utilities that VEST has developed in order to be able to quickly build custom symbol libraries. So for those familiar with HyDraw, and I see the majority of the attendees are HyDraw users, we deliver several thousand of symbols, but one of the common need is to create new symbols, add new symbols. And although it's efficient in HyDraw, it is possible to create the symbols, edit, make new symbols. Sometimes you want to do some massive work that is doable with the tools that I am going to show you shortly. So if we look at the library, what we can see is that we have an image of a symbol, and each symbol is related to a component type. So in order to create, to add symbols to HyDraw library, of course, we need an image, we need a DWG file of the symbol, and of course, we need to specify the component type. One of the most common tools to arrange data is, of course, Excel. So we developed a small utility that is able to build a library structure starting from an Excel file. This is just an example. Recently, I've been working on some Bucher sectional valve symbols, which I'll show you later in action. So basically, and later I'll explain how to build a symbol and how to populate this file. But if we consider a HyDraw library, we can see we have a root folder. In this case, it's a screwing cartridge valve. And we have subfolders, and eventually we have symbols. Of course, the symbol has a name. Just a trick for those not familiar with Library Manager: when you touch, when you click with the left mouse a symbol in the Library Manager, this will copy the file name. So if I open a notepad editor and paste that text, that's the strange file name. So if I look in my file system for something called that file name .dwg, I will find, of course, I have several libraries, so this is a very common symbol, but that would be that particular symbol. If I open it, let me just open in HyDraw. As you can see, this is exactly that symbol. And well, let's wait for it to finish. But when we see this image, an image is attached to the same symbol with the same name, but the file format is a GIF. So if I look for the same file name with GIF, I will see that this will be the image of the same check valve. Here it is now. It's poor resolution, but of course, let me just switch a bit. Okay, that's the same image. So basically, our intent is to be able to generate automatically images from symbol that we can have made. And the common scenario is if an organization have a lot of DWG symbols made with AutoCAD, why not being able to massively bring them into a HyDraw library. In order to do that, we need images, and I'll show you a tool how that allows us to create images. And then we need to import these files into the library. So in order to import files into a library, we have developed a small utility, which is called import symbol utility. The tools that I'm showing you today are made of two different pieces. One utility is a create image utility. It's just a DLL that at present is usable only within AutoCAD. And I'll show you how to use it in AutoCAD. We have an import symbol utility that's just an exe file. This exe file, if you want to use it, must be placed inside the HyDraw Library Manager folders. So under C, Program Files, Vest, HyDraw Library Manager, and here we have the location for the symbol utility. So it's import symbol utility. Just copy and paste this utility here and it will work. I created a shortcut for this directly in my taskbar. It's this import symbol utility. And then let's look how it works. So import symbol utility will hook to the library you are working on. So in the library manager, if you look at the options under library path, this is where the library is located. So I'm working into a standard HyDraw library 2024. There is a current limitation for this tool. It's working only with hatches. If you are interested in using it, we can use the part of the image creation. For adding to SQL, we can find other techniques to add them. Maybe we go through a hatches creation and then migration to SQL. This will not be a showstopper in any case. So now with this import utility, what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to import massively this file name. So here I have the file name of my symbols. Later I'll show you the file names. Of course, I need to specify a component type for these symbols, because if I want to use them in HyDraw and want to assign model data, then I'll need to be able to, I need to specify a component type. And then I need to specify the folder structure. So the folder structure, to make it simple, we divide it into columns into the Excel file. So we have the parent folder and subfolders, up to 6 subfolders level. So in my case, as an example, I have these Bucher sectional valves, which I added to a parent folder called sectional valves, a subfolder called Bucher, other subfolder by model family, and the subfolder by type of symbols I'm adding there. Similarly, I have some directional control valve symbols, which I divide into different places. So if I want to import this, I just run the import symbol utility. The import symbol utility is very, very simple. I'll be able to navigate through the Excel file. It's the file I'm working on. The file may have different sheets, so I'll select the sheet I'm working on. This is A sheet 1. Then it's asking for the folders where I have the images. So later I'll show you how to create these images. Now, if I go into this folder, which is here, as you can see, I have several files, all the files that I have to add to my library with the corresponding images. I didn't create these images manually. They were just created automatically. As an example, this is the Bucher section, some Bucher sectional valve symbols, and there are other symbols I'm planning to add massively. So if I want to add these symbols massively, I just select the library where I want to add. And I did install in some of my customer a small library called custom building blocks. It's a library I've made with time that has some custom symbols that will help to build other symbols. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to add a new symbol to that custom building block library and click import. And now I click OK. So now if I go, and there will be a log file in the symbol folder where I can read which items are added or not. So now there is anything. So everything has been imported correctly. So if I go to the HyDraw Library Manager, and now I go to the custom building block library, and I go to my sectional valves, I expect to find a folder for Bucher with the two subfolders, L8S with auxiliary and spool and inlet and work section. And similarly, I have other elements. If I go to the directional control valves, I can find the complete symbols I had created, while other are missing. So now I show you how to add the missing symbols here. And also I added some additional stackable elements here. Those were missing. And I show you how to add the same one on the 4-way to position standard and here. So as you can see here, I have nothing, but I'll be adding those symbols by using AutoCAD. So my intent is first to open AutoCAD, and I'll start making my symbols. So in order to make symbols that are compatible with HydroCAD, we can use a small template, which we deliver together with this utility. That's just an example. I slightly modified it. So in my symbols, I like to add jumpers. So you find a small basic jumper element, a connection dot. I added the functional elements for directional control valves. We have orifice. Today I'll be using orifice symbols, and those are dynamic blocks. So we can switch between different states for this. And we have other aspect for the symbol. This attribute is called item. It will be related to the item ID. Those familiar with HyDraw, it will be the position for the item ID. And this is the basic symbol for the symbol port, which I'll be using later. Since I'm planning to do some symbols that are similar to what I already have, let me just open some of those symbols and create the new ones. So I open now my full stack. This is a request I every now and then have from a customer. So in terms of NG16, NG25, DO7, DO8, DO10 valves, in HyDraw we have the simplified symbol. We don't show the complete symbol with the pilot stage and the primary stage. So in this case, I'm adding the full functionality. This version is with external pilot and external drain. Now I want to save as the same symbol as only external drain. Although I could delete some items, but in case of external drain, normally this kind of valves will have orifice where you just close one line and open the other. So this will be my external drain. So I have the P that is used also for piloting the directional stage. So let me save it. I also want to make the same version without pilot, without external drain, which is this one. So open, and I'll do save as. That will be the full stack without anything. And now I make also the X version as well. So it will be open and it will be closed. And this I will save as the X version. Of course, I'll need to add these elements into my Excel file. So now I took the full stack E version. So let me just copy and paste 3 line items. I made the X version, the Y version, and nothing version. So internal pilot and internal. Now I can create the subfolder. So this one is just external pilot, internal drain. This one will be internal pilot, external drain. And the other one will be the internal pilot, internal drain. So by doing this, I'm basically defining where these symbols are going to be located. Let me do that for the other spool types. So I have the G, H, and J. So let me quickly go to AutoCAD. And well, it's really easier to open the other files. So let me open the G, H, and J. Well, they were the full stack. E, G, H, and J, open. And let me make the X version for all. So I make it plugged and open. One information here, because I'll show you later in HyDraw, if we go to the properties, AutoCAD properties, which are the same HyDraw properties as well, this orifice element, you can provide an ID. It makes sense to provide the ID for the orifice plug because it will be possible to control from outside the symbol within HyDraw. This kind of dynamic blocks are the only place where HyDraw is really using the dynamic block functionalities in HyDraw. We had webinars in the past regarding dynamic blocks. The orifice behavior is something that is controlled by HyDraw application. So this version is I do a save as, that's the Y, save. I make the plugged and open and save as. This will be the version without anything. Save, and I make this open and plugged and save as the X version. And I can close it. Now I'll do the same here. So I'll do the version which is plugged and open and do a save as Y. I'll do the version as plugged and open and save as. That will be my version internal pilot, and I'll make the external pilot. And that will be the X version. And the last one. So as you can see, if you are familiar with HyDraw, it is possible to edit symbol and save as and so on, but eventually this becomes longer. Although I'm opening files, saving as, this practically has ended up being a faster way rather than working directly in HyDraw. So that will be the Y version. That will be the save as clean version, and then I'll make the last one. So I'll make this open and closed and save as the X version. I see a question. Let me read it. Okay, how do we get the import tool? Yes, that will be later. Yes. Well, at the end of the webinar, if you are interested, you can request the survey and we will be sending you the tool. Let me close it. So now I have made. Now, if you want to see, I have my new files. Let me sort by modified it. I have these new symbols that I have made, but I don't have images. Now let me show you the tool to create images. So like I said, it's a tool that works within AutoCAD. It's a DLL, which we need to load in AutoCAD. It does not work in HyDraw because we need to embed in HyDraw directly because there are some limitations to the AutoCAD OEM engine. So it's not possible to add additional tools at a later stage. So in order to load the DLL, I need to use a command called netload. For those very AutoCAD friendly, you should be already familiar with this command, and just load the create image DLL. Now, when you use netload, you have a new command called the create image. which will ask you to select the folder where you have all the symbols. So as you can see, it's remembering. Of course, I did practice a bit before this webinar. There are a total of 36 files. This program will not process all the files, will process only the files that have been modified. So it will look for images. So in this case, it will not create all the images, but it will create only the images for the newly created files. As you can see, it's scanning through and it's creating the images. So it will open and create images all with the same resolution, all on one go with the correct file naming. Of course, this may take a few minutes, few seconds, depending on how many files you have to create. But this process is much faster than adding one by one into HyDrawCAD. Now the create images is completed. And now I want to test the symbols I have made. Well, I'll need to create the other symbols. So I made the H version. The G version. So this naming is related to the Bosch Rexroth spools. I'm more familiar with Bosch Rexroth components. So J. You may name the spool according to your preferred manufacturer if you are interested in doing the similar. I've recently been designing some blocks with a lot of Bosch Rexroth components, so I got a bit familiarity with Bosch Rexroth. Let me save my file, and now let me load again. So let me load the import utility. Again, it will remember the last file. It remembers the folder. I want to add to the custom building blocks library, and I want to add my new symbols, and I want to import. Of course, you have also another option, update existing symbols. So if eventually you realize some mistakes have been made in images or in the symbol itself, you don't need to manually edit through HyDrawCAD. You just use the update existing symbols, which will modify the symbol that are in the Excel file as well. Import. Symbols are imported. Now let's look at the library manager, and let's see if the symbols are there. So I added symbols. One is missing, so maybe an image was missing. And here we have the, well, let's leave that. I'll check later what's wrong with that image. Maybe it's just a file name that is wrong. Let's see how they work in HyDrawCAD. So now I open HyDrawCAD. I go to my custom building block library. I go to my directional control valve, the complete stackable symbols. I want to take an internal pilot external drain. This one, I want to insert it. So I decided to leave the dynamic orifice symbols because it allows me on the fly to modify the symbol in the drawing. The way to modify the status of the orifice is through the HyDraw Property Manager orifices. You can click on the three dots, and now you can see the naming XP, X, Y, YT. So I named XP as the orifice connecting the pressure with the X, which is open, which I can plug, and I can plug also the other one. So this will trigger the states of the orifice. Unfortunately, as of now, there is no way to link this dynamic behavior to model data. Otherwise, we could really reduce the number of symbols in the library. So that's why I had to create all these kind of symbols, external pilot, internal pilot, and so on, in order later to be able to link the model data directly to the library. But if you use these dynamic orifices, it is possible to control, and you can also put an orifice, maybe with a particular orifice size. And this should be also displayed next to the symbol in the drawing. that's an example of this symbol. Let me show you those Bucher sectional valves. So if you are familiar with the sectional valves, you may realize that these kind of symbols are not enough to build all the possible combination. I called this library as a custom building block library because my intent is not to store all the possible variation, but is to create a symbol that can help with building custom symbols. So the way to use this kind of symbol is through the build symbol. So I'm going to build a new symbol. And as an example, I'm going to insert an inlet for this sectional valve. The inlet will have a different possibility. So I can select a different type of inlet section. When I have the right one, I can explode it. And then I go to my working section. So I can take my work section, I can insert it. Also, this one is a dynamic block, so I can select a different type of working section. Let's take this one. I can explode it. And then I want a spool. So I can take my spool and position directly here. This one also has dynamics. I need a floating spool. I take the actuator. Of course, the actuator must go as a float with hand lever. So I'll take my actuator. And this directional control valve has also auxiliary valves on the right. So I can place my auxiliary valve, which I can have different options according to the needs. And they have also some valves on the left, but now they are not compatible with the working section I have selected. When I'm done, I can just explode, not too much, explode. And this one is okay. And then I can go on and adding additional elements. Of course, I could add end plate, which in my case is this one. And I can change it into different end plates. And when I'm done, I can save changes and use my symbol in the drawing. And now that's a complete sectional valve assembly that I can use in my drawing to connect with other elements. So this is just a technique we can use in HyDraw to help creating complex symbols, which otherwise requires a lot of effort. So creating dynamic blocks sometimes is a good option in order to be able to quickly arrange complex symbols. I don't see any other question. This was a 30 minutes webinar, and I see we have only a couple of minutes left. So if you have any question, feel free to post it. Otherwise, you can ask later through the survey or to hydrosupport@vestusa.com. Just a quick recap of what I've shown today. So we have a custom symbol library utility divided into two pieces. One is an image utility creator, which is compatible with the AutoCAD 23 and 24, which allows you to quickly create images that can be used to import symbols into a HyDraw library. And we have an import symbol utility that is connected to HyDraw Library Manager. This symbol utility, import symbol utility, works through an Excel file. We have this sample Excel file where you describe the symbol file name and the location and the component type, and eventually these symbols will be added massively to the library. The benefit of this approach is that you have full control, the full control of the file name, which is not under your control in HydroCAD. So in HydroCAD, in order to have a unique file naming, HydroCAD has a naming generator, so you have that complex naming Here you can control the file name. Of course, it's up to you to make sure that the file name is consistent and you don't have duplicate file name. It's not possible to add the two symbols with the same file name in the database. That is not allowed by the database rules. I see a question, how did you create the GIF when the symbol was drawn? I repeat it. Let me create a new symbol quickly. I go to AutoCAD. I'll open a symbol, maybe a symbol. I want to create just a 2-position valve. Let me delete the right part and I save as. This will be EA side. So that's a new symbol file. And let me create another one. It's very easy. In this case, I take the G version and delete and save as. I make the A version. Now I have 2 new symbols in my library. In order to create the images, I use, now it's not needed anymore, but I can net load. I load the create images DLL. In the session, you don't need to load again. Now I can run the utility create image, select the folder and click OK. Now this will create the icons, the missing icons that were missing. If I want to import these new symbols, I'll take those symbols. It was E and G, I think, side E and G. I made the A version, and that's 4-way to position, and save. Again, I will import into my custom building blocks, add new symbols, import. Well, let me also update the existing, maybe it fixes the missing images. Let me go back to the library, and now I should find the 2 symbols. There they are, the 2 symbols I've just made. So the images has been made automatically by the tool. And let's check. This still has a problem. I'll need to check why. Full stack EX, maybe something is wrong with the file naming, but I'll double check later. In any case, this is how it works. So I reply to the question. I don't see any other question. We went a bit longer. If there are no other questions, I turn it over to Megan.
All right, it was very nice. Thank you, Carlo, for that webinar. If anyone has any more questions, feel free to ask. To elaborate on the question about receiving this import utility, everyone will get details in the email automatically sent to all attendees within 24 hours. The link to documentation will be included. Other links to the utility and other information for VEST Smart Symbols will also be included in that document. This will include instructions on how to use the utility, and this webinar may also be used as a tool of reference as well. But doesn't look like we have any more questions, so that's all the time we have today. If you come up with a question later, we can follow up with email within 24 hours. If you think of a follow-up, please alert us through email at support@vestusa.com with the details of your question. I'd like to thank Carlo again for delivering today's webinar, and we would be grateful if you could complete a short survey at the conclusion of today's webinar. Tomorrow you'll receive an email containing a link and that other stuff we discussed just a moment ago, and feel free to share this link with your colleagues. A link to the video segments from prior webinars will also be provided in that email. As you can see, we will also have this webinar series posted on various social media channels. We invite you to follow these channels so that you can receive the latest updates on upcoming webinars as well as product releases. Our next webinar takes place next week, where I will demonstrate how to verify and inspect manifold design directly in your web browser. So thank you again for Carlo and all the attendees for attending today's session. Have a pleasant and safe day.